Welcome to Modern Builds, and today we're gonna make these super awesome steel-based candles. And check it out, we got 2 cameras now. It's season 2 of Modern Builds. We upped the production value. You're welcome, let's get started. So the first thing you're gonna need is metal. Smooth. So I picked all this up whenever I went to get the metal for the fireplace that I built about a month or so ago. They had all these offcuts that were too small for them to inventory, and they sold them off for $1 or $4 a piece. So I got all of these really cheap. I had them custom cut some of these big round pipes, which are really cool. I got them in 2 different heights. And I got a bunch of steel stock that's gonna have to be cut to length. These cool angled pieces were in their cutoff bin. They were just gonna put these in their scrap pile, so they let me have them for free. So I got this cool saw that's supposed to be able to cut metal and wood and all kinds of stuff. Free tools, not a sponsor. Scissor me. All right, so we should be good on metal tubing. So now it's time to start making forms. I had some leftover 3/4 inch melamine from an old concrete project that I decided to use. I'm just gonna make all these to where they're basically cut to fit. I'll just use the actual pieces of metal to measure the forms. Now, we're gonna take our 2 cutoffs and then combine that with the width of the thing, and that'll give us the other 2 sides. And now, you have 2 sides that are the same width as your metal piece, and 2 sides that are as wide as that, plus your other 2 walls. Pro tip, you gotta pre-drill your holes or else it's not gonna work, you dingus. Melamine has a tendency to crack and chip next to screw holes if you don't pre-drill, so make sure you do that. Although, in reality, you could probably get by just hot gluing these together without any screws. Boom, you have a mold, and it's stuck in there pretty good. So now that I know the metal bases don't want to slide out of the forms, I'm gonna start cleaning them before I put them in the form. And I'm just using mineral spirits. And a couple of these edges have a little burr, so I'll just hit them with a file real quick. So to make these actually hold liquid, I needed to make a bottom for them, and I had some 1/8 inch plywood laying around, and I was able to hot glue that in, and it worked perfect. You're gonna fall in love with me after you figure out how easy it is to make the molds for these round ones. All you gotta do is get a normal old poster board. You can get these at like Dollar Tree, dollar stores, whatever, and we're gonna cut it into thirds, or at least that's what I'm gonna do for my molds. Now this is gonna be our biggest candle. We're gonna have wax up to here. We're gonna get some wide masking tape and pre-tape this edge. That way we don't need to worry about getting the tape on there while we're trying to hold everything else. Make sure you're rolling parallel with this edge and just roll it up. You just roll, try and keep it going as straight as possible. And it's literally that easy. You're welcome. Once again, line it up. Make sure you're going parallel with this edge, or as close as you can. It's not gonna be perfect. Boom, 2 for 2. And now that I've got all of the molds made, I want to take this opportunity to thank this video sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning platform with over 17,000 courses on just about anything you could want to learn. This week, I've actually been taking a course on Final Cut Pro, the software I use to edit video. Since I have been using Final Cut for a long time, most of it I had already learned through experience, but there's a lot of cool tricks and time-saving techniques that I've learned, which really kind of made me wish that I had taken this course whenever I first started making videos. The course I'm most excited about taking in the next couple of weeks is actually a ceramics class. Before I get there though, I'm really interested in actually making a homemade pottery wheel, so I think that could be a cool project in the future. And thanks to Skillshare, the first 500 people to click the link down in the description are gonna be eligible for a free 2-month trial to test out the service. Use that opportunity to learn a new skill or help build your business, and after that, it's only $10 a month. You can cancel anytime, no hassle. Those 500 spots are probably gonna go pretty quick, so make sure and follow that link down in the description, and be sure and hit me up on Instagram. Tell me one of the classes you're taking. I'm interested. Maybe I'll take it too. Thanks, Skillshare. All right, so it's time to melt the wax. And it's a pretty simple process. You just gotta know a couple temperatures to keep track of. Now, I bought an Amazon kit, a candle making kit. It came with a couple pounds of wax, about this much, but I bought a few 10-pound bags that are slightly open. That way I can make a bunch of candles. So the first thing we need to do is get a large pot, about halfway full of water, and get that boiling. And I'll leave links to this little stovetop along with the candle making kit, that way you can check it out. It's good to keep track of how much wax you're using, that way you know how much fragrance you're putting in as well. So that's why I'm just gonna dump it until it looks full and call that good. The water's not at a boil yet, but I think this little stovetop is really struggling, so I'm gonna go ahead and put the wax in there. Now this is what's called a double boiler. Essentially what it does is it heats the wax without the wax coming into direct contact with the heating element, which is supposed to be better for it. I don't know, I'm not an expert. So while that's melting, I'm gonna go ahead and get a few candle molds and start putting my wicks in them. The kit should come with little glue dots, but I lost mine, so I'm just gonna use a little bit of hot glue. I'm gonna line the bottoms with a little bit of aluminum foil to protect it. And now we can add the wick. That way there's a barrier between the flame and the wood. Smart. I'm out here saving you from burning your house down. Thank me later. So our wax is melted. It looks like watered down honey, just the way I like it. So now we're gonna set it off of the heat and let it cool. And then once it gets to 175 degrees, we can add our fragrance. I have two fragrances left in the pack. One is mango and banana leaf. Smells good, kind of strong. And the other is wildflower. It's not good. Don't use wildflower. So the directions say use 1 ounce, which is one of these bottles, per pound of wax. I probably dumped 3 pounds in. I don't know much about math, so I'm just gonna pour this whole thing in. The first time I made candles, I did do 1 ounce per pound, and it was way too strong in my opinion. So this is a 1-to-3 ratio, and I think this will be a little bit more appropriate. We're at 145 degrees Fahrenheit. If you want to add a tint or a dye, that's when you would do it now. But I want to do just a few candles that are pure white. I like the aesthetic, it's clean, it's simple, so let's start with that. Oh, it's hot. Oh, it's hot. This is why you prepare. I let them sit in their molds overnight to let them cure, and then I could take them out of the molds. I just removed all the screws and separated them. The hot glue that was in the joints wasn't super strong, and they came apart pretty easily. Although, as you can see, I had to use a chisel to clean up the bases, as well as make sure that the corners were rounded to match the steel. The round molds came apart super easily, and not only that, but they were the cleanest molds that I had. Overall, I am pumped with how these came out. Obviously, they're not perfect, but for a first attempt, they are sweet. I want to really experiment some more with different materials, different base shapes, and experiment with colors like I did here because they look awesome. So I hope you guys enjoyed this project, and I know it wasn't a furniture build, but it was a ton of fun to be able to experiment with a new material and to mix and match all this steel and wood and candles and all this stuff. A while before this video went live, I posted some pictures of these candles on my Instagram, and I got a ton of feedback saying that people wanted to buy them. Now, I don't know if this is still the case, but if you're interested in picking up one of these candles, I'll have them down in my store, modernbuilds.com/store, if you want to check them out and maybe pick one up for yourself. Who knows, maybe if they sell well, I'll continue to keep the store stocked with new designs, new colors, and new shapes. Obviously, each candle will have its own little imperfections, but I'll have 360-degree pictures of all of the candles that I'll be selling. If you're new to my channel, I want to say welcome. I'm glad you're here. And if you haven't already, I'd appreciate it if you considered subscribing if you liked this video. That way you can stay updated every time I post a new project. If you want to watch a couple other videos, one will be here and right here. Thanks everybody for watching. I really appreciate all the support that you guys give. And until next week, this has been Modern Builds. Bye everybody.